Okay, people, this one's going to have to be 2A. The original 2 I've left on the page. I want you to see what they did. I do not have any special software to get the results of what that video looks like. So this one's going to be called Senate Report number 93-549 2B. It will be in my Defend America First playlist. Now let's see if I can find out way back where it was that, okay, Note 1, Session, Resolution 9, 93rd Congress, First Session, Emergency Power Statutes, Provisions of Federal Law now in effect delegating to the Executive extraordinary authority in time of national emergency. November the 19th, 1973. Ordered to be printed. Mr. Mathis for Mr. Church as co-chairman of the Special Committee on the Termination of the National Emergency submitted the following report pursuant to Session Resolution 9, 93rd Congress. Introduction. Now, before I get into the introduction, maybe this just proves, seeing as what they did with that last video, that I'm a complete idiot to be sitting here doing it again. Remember, I told you, I'm an oath keeper. To some, I may be a shitbird, but I still take my oath. And it's a high honor and a high duty that I will not shirk from. Now, before, when I was in the military, I had some real iffy people that I was dealing with. This is different altogether. The only one I'm answering to now is God and the people that are what makes America. This is for you that I am doing this. This is for your prosperity, your families, your great grandchildren. Please understand that, people. I am not deriving any joy in doing this. This actually scares the hell out of me. But here we go. Introduction. A brief historical sketch of the origins of emergency powers now in force. A majority of the people of the United States have lived all their lives under emergency rule. For 40 years, freedoms and governmental procedures guaranteed by the Constitution have, in varying degrees, been abridged by laws brought into force by states of national emergency. The problem of how a constitutional democracy reacts to great crises, however, far antedates the Great Depression. As a philosophical issue, its origins reach back to the Greek city-states and the Roman Republic, and in the United States, actions taken by the government in times of great crises have, from at least the Civil War, in important ways shaped the present phenomenon of a permanent state of national emergency. American political theory of emergency government was derived and enlarged from John Locke, the English political philosopher whose thought influenced the authors of the Constitution. Locke argued that the threat of national crisis, unforeseen, sudden, and potentially catastrophic, required the creation of broad executive emergency powers to be exercised by the chief executive in situations where the legislative authority had not provided a means or procedure of remedy. Referring to emergency power in the 14th chapter of his second treatise on civil government as prerogative, Locke suggested that it should be left to the discretion of him that has the executive power, since in some governments the lawmaking power is not always in being and is usually too numerous and so too slow for the dispatch requisite to executions, and because also it is impossible to foresee, and so by laws to provide for all accidents and necessities that may concern the public, or make such laws as will do no harm. if they are executed with an inflexible rigor on all occasions and upon all persons that may come in their way. Therefore, there is a latitude left to the executive power to do many things of choice which the laws do not prescribe. To what extent the founding fathers adhered to the view of the executive role in emergencies is a much disputed issue. Whatever their conceptions of this role, its development in practice has been based largely on the manner in which individual presidents have viewed their office and its functions. Presidents Theodore Roosevelt and William Howard Taft argued the proper role of the president, and perhaps their debate best expounds diametrically opposed philosophies of the presidency. In his autobiography, Roosevelt asserted his stewardship theory. That's Teddy. All right, just check my time. My view was that every executive officer was a steward of the people, bound actively and affirmatively to do all he could for the people and not to content himself with the negative merit of keeping his talents undamaged in a napkin. My belief was that it was not only the president's right but his duty to do anything that the needs of the nation demanded unless such action was forbidden by the Constitution or by the laws. Under this interpretation, that's, that's ambiguous, isn't it? Of executive power, I did and caused to be done many things not previously done by the President and the heads of departments. I did not usurp power, but I did greatly broaden the use of executive power. In other words, I acted for the common well-being of all our people whenever and whatever measure was necessary, unless prevented by direct constitutional or legislative prohibition. Roosevelt compared this principle of stewardship to what he called the Jackson-Lincoln theory and contrasted it to the theory ascribed to William Howard Taft. Okay, I still got time. Roosevelt ideas on the limit of presidential authority and responsibility were vigorously disputed by Taft. In lectures on the presidency delivered at Columbia University in 1915 through 1916, Taft responded that the wide field of action that this would give to the executive one can hardly specific grants must be either in the federal Constitution or in any act of Congress passed in pursuance thereof. There is no undefined residuum of power which he can exercise because it seems to him to be in the public interest. Well, I'm going to cut this one a little bit short just because I want to see if it's going to go into hyperdrive when I view it after I do the notation in it. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the one before this one. Do you see what's happening here, people? And it won't be just YouTube, it's all sites. It's the whole internet. I just hope I'm doing the right thing by my country by doing this. I pray to God that I am.